What's going on, y'all? VX Heaven's Assassin, Planet X Radio. And we're bringing on M80 from the almighty A&R extraordinaire. He is from the supergroup The Almighty. He also is A&R for RBC Records. They've got a lot of classic stuff that you may have heard, such as the last release was Canibus Fait Accompli. And what up, M?
Yo, does this work?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me try to figure out how to get this on speaker.
Yes.
Or maybe this is fine. What's up?
Yeah. We got you live. I was just doing a little intro, just little update for you about Fait Accompli and you being A&R at RBC and stuff. But everybody knows that stuff by now because you've been on here like 5 times. So,
People, do you know this?
So
Do you know that I just had eggs and pancakes and bacon in bed while winning money on football games? It's amazing.
I saw that. I didn't know you were winning money, but I saw the breakfast. I was jealous, man. I was mad. Don't post that again.
We won 2 or 3. We won 2 or 3 so far. I got money on
Nice.
5.
Attaboy. So yeah, man.
Sunday.
Shout outs for the flyer. Good looks, son. I don't know if you made that or if somebody else made it for you, but definitely
That
props
was
on
made by Thomas Smith of Vindicate Media. He does a lot of stuff for Strange Music. He did
Right.
all the Fait Accompli graphics.
Hell yeah.
And will be working on a bunch of stuff for me this year.
Dope. Yeah, that shit was fire. Definitely appreciate that.
It's nice when you can call someone at like midnight and be like, "Hey, can you have a flyer ready for me? Before you go to bed." Like, what?
yeah. I'm on a radio show like next couple days. Gonna need that ASAP.
Check that out. Way to go, Tommy.
Yeah, that was dope. Definitely shouts out for that. What else is new, man? Let them know. It's been a little while. We would have had you on sooner, but we've just been hella booked with our schedule. But
I think the last time was around August of 2013 when I was in Hawaii. Now, over a year later, I'm living in Los Angeles now. I've been here for about a year.
Nice.
Everything's going great here. All the work with RBC is good.
Hell yeah.
Let's see, we had a few records come out in 2014. The biggest, of course, being Canibus's Fait Accompli.
Yep.
Only took us about 6-7 years to make.
But
I figure
it
if
was
we
well
do
worth
an
it.
album, by the time I was like 76 and the rest of the guys were, in their 80s, man, that shit would be hot fire.
Oh yeah.
So that album was phenomenal. In fact, it's actually we have more Canibus releases on the way, but it kind of set the bar so high, I'm like almost at a loss. Like I think like a lot of fans regard that as now like his best record since Rip the Jacker, and it's like shit.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to say. I'd say, because some people are being critical of the use of like the radio samples or whatever. That personally wasn't a problem for me. That's like, as far as conceptually, yeah, I'd say that's my favorite topic from him, just because he's dropped hints along the way of being on that topic, but to do a full album focused on that one topic is like perfect for me, because that's totally my realm, is that sort of anti-New World Order, you know what I mean? Kind of where he went off there on that concept. So like, and he killed it too, you know what I mean? So, and the beats were fire.
It's a very big deal for JP Beats was the main producer who did the Academy with Corrupt and the Warning and the bulk of the Almighty too. So that was good for him, because Canibus like loved the tracks. He felt that they mirrored exactly what he wanted to rap about perfectly. So we didn't have to go out and snag a bunch of named producers. And then a lot of Canibus's fans are, taking note, like going back and checking for Jimmy's past catalog. In fact, Jimmy was with me in Hawaii the last time we did the interview.
Yeah, I remember that.
Of the Fait Accompli album, JP was actually able to go to RBC and broker like a joint venture deal for several like artists that he wants to put out. So, that's great for him. We're gonna start those off coming in the top of 2015, like with the compilation, kind of like a from then till now type thing. Jimmy actually got started as like a studio musician with Dr. Dre, and that's a pretty amazing way to start your production career.
Yeah.
So we got, JP's got a slew of albums coming out. Before this year wraps, I have, let's see, Bilderberg, a group from Pennsylvania, I've worked with in the past. They have their debut out. The single is called Written Agreement right now with Crooked Eye. We put a video for that out this past week, and it's, featured heavily on like All Hip Hop and All Right and Two Dope Boys and places like that. So check that out. I got an artist I'm working with out of Virginia named John Dubb. He had a video come out a year ago with Canibus called Lyrical Pump. That's on there. It's kind of like we're doing like a digital deluxe edition release of that. He's got works with Jaron Benton and Dizzy Wright and a few others. Rap Capadonna. So that's that and the Bilderberg album are both coming out November 11th on RBC. And for the big releases, man, we're just trying to wrap up this Crazy Bone album. It's nice. Chasing the Devil. It originally was intended as like a 3-disc set, but we're gonna basically just be releasing it disc by disc. So a new Crazy Bone album. E40's next set of work is a 4-disc set called Game on All Four Corners, and we're probably going to maybe take like 2 discs if we can do it for this year, and drop in the fourth quarter, and then maybe 2 discs for the following year. He's always got a lot on his plate. RBC, of course, administers all the Strange Music catalog. So, between Tech Nine and Ritz and Cess Crew and Murs Day and all that stuff, they're always just in the thick of everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's, there's a lot to look forward to. And of course, there's a new Canibus product on the way. That's really the most I can say about it till now. I think we're just going to try to, the element of surprise on this one. I want to finish the record, set a release date for it, and then just announce it. So it's like, oh shit, all right, it's coming out, in 30 days.
Hell yeah. Oh man, okay, so that's a lot of stuff right there. One question I have about Fait Accompli. Now, did JP lace the samples, the interlude samples onto the beats, or does Biss hand pick those and then have JP lace them in, or do you know?
You know what? Biss hand picks them and laces them on himself.
Dope. No, that's actually what I thought. Yeah, okay.
Other than me, on that album, I'll get tracks from Jimmy. I'll go through them dozens of times, and I will hand pick each track and send Biss. And literally, I think I sent 20, and then the actual retail version of the album I think is 16, 17 tracks. So it's you pick 17 of the 20 I picked. So it's we were on the same wavelength for that.
But the bonus joint on iTunes, the deluxe edition, has a few more.
Yeah, those are kind of the remixes, where it's the Poet Laureate remixes where he's not actually rapping those songs. The producer will take and kind of mix and match his lyric to make new lyrics and a new composition, which is just an amazing concept in itself.
Yeah, absolutely it is. One thing that was astounding is I remember when that whole phenomenon first started going on, and I saw something Biss said. I don't remember if it was in some sort of interview, but he said that people were actually coming up with combinations of his own rhymes that he hadn't even thought of himself. And I was just that had never occurred to me that something like that would ever happen. You know what I mean? It's
dude, there was one from a year ago or maybe 2 years ago where he was rapping all the X-Men characters, but of course never had made a song where he had said Wolverine and Gambit and da-da-da. No, it was crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, shout out to Biss, man. He's still, I think, one of the most innovative artists of all time. I've said that a million times on the air with you. As far as the project, is this a new original project, or is there any sort of update on the RTJ2, or what's this
is a new original project. I think what our ultimate goal is, and Biss and I have talked about this on a number of occasions. Rip the Jacker, we all are of the understanding that's going to be the last project. It's after it's completed, you can't really put out anything that would wow people at that point. You release a project that's 1,000 bars. You can't be new 7-track Canibus EP or new 12-song LP to drop. Woo.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
At the most, we got 2 or 3 projects left, and then unless this changes his mind, but I think that's where he's really at with it right now, in terms of what can I do that I want to do as the artist
Yeah.
that I haven't done. Like, you know, we still get show offers and stuff every week. And he's like, you know, we've done that. We've been there, we've done that. Call me if there's a United Kingdom tour, or if they want us to come to Australia for a week and knock out 3 or 4, you know, areas.
Hell yeah.
So it sucks because it's like I would like to say, hey man, let's go knock out 20 dates in America, you know, like we've done time and time again.
Yeah.
But
that's how I met you guys.
You know, that's just the same old. And if it was about let's go make some money, cool, we could go do that. But he just wants to do things that he can add to, you know, his film and look back on it and be like, you know, that was great when I, you know, wrapped up the last couple of years of my career and we you know, toured Europe and we did Spain and Switzerland and all, you know, he wants to do shit that he hasn't done before, or even if he's done it before, you know, not in, you know, in the M80 era, we'll put it that way.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know La Coca Nostra just went down under to Australia, and they did like a few shows. So I mean, I feel like it's definitely a possibility because there's a big market for, you know, the underground, you know, little show tours or mini tours, whatever you want to call it down there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, you know, the fans want it, like all over the world. We'll get the emails, saying, man, we'd love to see you come here, and it's like, okay, it's your job as the fans. And you live in these areas, you've probably been to rap shows before. You know who's bringing these shows, promoting the shows. Like, we'll work with the promoters to make sure that they're, you know, the price is right, that they're able to make money. Like, that's how that equation works. I have to tell artists now that hit me up to book tours for them and so on and so forth. Like, hey, man, I want $5,000 a show. I need 4 hotel rooms. I need this and this. And I'll tell them, like, look, if I can get this book, but it's like, you have to take this amount of money. The promoter wants to be able to make this amount of money. You know, it all has to work together. And that's how you can go back to these same promoters and venues and talent buyers time and time again and be like, hey, well, you know, you made money on my Canibus project. Now take this Crooked Eye. You made money on Crooked Eye. Take this Pre. So on and so forth. And just keep the cycle moving like that. And a lot of artists, you know, either they're with it or they're just not trying to hear it. So that's one of the job.
Yep, definitely. Now, you guys, along with the Fait Accompli, I mean, we won't stay totally on Canibus because obviously RBC and, you know, the whole M80 umbrella, Almighty and Wu-Tang, you guys have a whole bunch of artists. But Canibus is my shit, so we are going to spend some time on it, obviously, you know. The historic EP what came out along with Fait Accompli, and that shit was pretty awesome. So can we expect anything else from the Four Horsemen, or is Biss just going to focus on the solo stuff for his last run there?
You know what, it's funny you bring that up, and I've kind of, you know, I answered some questions on, I think, the underground hip-hop blog, or UGHH. The historic EP was released for people that bought the Canibus album, like online, on his Facebook, on whatever. We pressed up like a couple hundred, gave those out, and then we put it on iTunes as well to release as like a kind of like super deluxe. Now you own the project. A lot of, you know, at least 100 other people own it with the giveaways that we did, and with the exception of the song "Historic" that's on the Fait Accompli album. Every other song on there was released in the year 2009 or earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that was the only new song on there.
Right.
Well, not every member of the Horsemen was ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like, it was, you know, just, it was a step backwards.
Yeah.
I thought it was something nice to give to the fans. Not everyone felt that way, and it just kind of soured the entire Horseman situation.
Wow. Yeah, I know Energy was old, but that was the only one I recognized from, you know, the previous project.
Priest album.
Yeah, The Offering.
Impossible was the first Horseman song we did in like 08, 09 when we all got together in Los Angeles and started recording. That was released with RBX. The song with Crooked Eye was put out on one of Crooked Eye's mixtapes. What else was on there? Oh, this shit right here was originally released with Raz's Adidas album, and we had a video for that. Like, everyone shot their scenes separately and whatnot, and that was really it for the most part. But, you know, there will never, I can say this with 100% surety, there'll never be a Horseman project that features all 4 members.
Right. Yeah. I
Literally,
mean,
in my eyes, the only way I wanted to work on it was with the 4.
yeah.
And you know, I have work history with Canibus. I have work history with Priest. I have work history with Corrupt. Raz and I were always, you know, like, this is new. Like, you know, I respect Raz as a lyricist and all this shit. I know his history, but in Raz's eyes, it's like, why do we need this guy to make this project happen?
Yeah.
It was always that kind of like ego shit, which I'm not an egotistical person. Like, I love hip hop music. I will wake up, if you tell me I got to be somewhere at 5 in the morning and work until 5 a.m. the next day. If it's for hip hop, I'm there. Like, I will do what has to be done. And the Horseman record was a passion project for me. And literally it got to the point where I was the only person pushing for it.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, it's like, it's already a loss.
Yeah. There's just not the push behind it. I mean, it's all good. I mean, it's just, I pretty much ask you about that every time you come on, just because I always see so many other people talking about it online and stuff. Just try to clear it up. But I mean, I don't like focusing on the negative anyway. What about the Almighty? Because I've heard whispers of like Almighty 3 here and there, and that's kind of your other passion project.
I think I'm gonna have the 3rd installment of the Academy come out before another Almighty. It's easier for me to do a record like the Academy where it's showcasing, you know, tracks from everyone I'm working with for like that year or in the next couple of years. Then go back and make another Almighty. I think, you know, I think at this point, the Almighty with volumes 1 and, I mean, I want to do a 3rd one at some point. It's not on the calendar, I can say, for this. It wasn't for 2014. It probably won't make it for 2015. 2015, I want to release Speak of the Angel, which is my next solo. But with the Almighty situation, it's like volume 1 is phenomenal. Volume 2 is phenomenal. And the whole back and forth madness with C. Ray's Walls, like him saying that he owns the Almighty and, you know, knowing it's really my shit. Yeah. And us taking an album that was just so incredibly superior to his product, it's like, we don't have to prove anything else. Yeah. Like, I don't have to make a 3rd installment. It's like, you can go back and listen to Almighty 2 and be like, this album was incredible.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
Almighty 2 in the past, like, I'd say 30 days, has been picked up by more like licensing companies than any project I've ever worked on. Letters basically like, hey, we want to take your project, put it in our database, you know, to solicit for television, for movies, for streamings, for things of that nature. Like, I got a letter from Microsoft. It's like, I've worked on 50 plus projects and never got a letter from Microsoft. Like, we want, you know, we want this.
That's awesome.
So I'm 1,000% satisfied with the results that the Almighty 2 did, especially in its pre-orders and the first week sales, you know, up there contending on like Amazon and iTunes and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, and hey, you know, on to the next thing. That's the whole point about, you know, this music business now, is that it's far more of a business now than it's really ever been. You know, you could get away with being a rapper and, you know, releasing a project and like living off of it and touring and doing whatever you had to do. And then 4 or 5 years later being like, okay, I'm going to start my next record now. You know, now it's like kind of how DMX did, you know, his debut and then the second album. It's like, you have to be consistent like that. Like, you have to be in something every year. Otherwise, you know, so many new personalities are coming into the game that it's like, it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, that guy, I think I remember that guy. Yeah, his project is tight, but you know, on to the next.
Yeah,
so if you want to keep that name going, it's like, you have to involve yourself in as much as possible without really, you know, oversaturating or kind of, you know, pouring yourself out in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, totally, because like you said, back in the day, people used to drop an album, they'd be able to tour for 3-4 years and then come back and be back in the studio for another 2-3 years, but it's a lot faster of a process now. Yeah, man, you kind of touched on the title of your next solo release there. How's that coming? Have you already started recording, and what's your plan for the Speak of the Angel project?
I have not recorded or written a single song, but I've picked all the tracks. So
typical M80.
It's like, I picked all the tracks. Man, maybe in like January or February of this year, and you know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start on it this month, and then some business thing will come up where it will just completely take my focus off of, M80 work.
Yep.
And that's how it is when you're balancing, someone wearing many hats. Like anytime I pick up a new client or start working on a new album, ultimately whatever I do as a rapper becomes, has to take the back seat. And that's just how it has to be, because no other artist would say like, hey man, I'm going to pay you to construct my album, to handle my legal, to oversee my PR, to shop my deal. If I'm talking to them as an artist, I'm like, oh man, well I'm about to drop my new shit, and you're like, it's a clear conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So I can tell you this, like Agallah is Agallah and Bronze Nazareth are producing the entire album.
Cool.
Agallah basically is doing every song, and then Bronze is handling the like intro, skits, outro, things of that nature. And I picked Agallah because his real name is Angel. So when I was building the title and kind of the themes around the record, that's who I wanted. I told him, I was like, if we can't reach an agreement on this album, like, then yeah, I'll take it. Like, I could call in enough favors to be like, I'll take a track from you, I'll take one from RHRSMN, I'll take one from Mathematics, I'll take one from Bronze, that kind of stuff.
JP.
I wanted to have I wanted it to have a theme to it, and not going like crazy on the features. I'm actually writing, when I start writing, I'll be writing out all the tracks, and then if it's like, okay, I need Canibus on this, or I need Crooked Eye on this, it's like I'll leave the open 16 instead of just giving them like the blank canvas of a track and be like, here it is.
Yeah.
And kind of like Kid Cudi's first record, where he had Common narrate. I'm actually having Canibus narrate the album.
Nice.
Yes. That is the blueprint for Speak of the Angel.
That's my guy. All right. Well, yeah, I got one more question about Canibus and Crooked Eye. Then I'm going to bring my co-host on because I know he has a couple questions for you. I know you work with both of them, and in the past they've kind of, gone back and forth. But I think since then they've done a few collaborations. Do you know anything about the Canibus and Crooked Eye relationship? Are they all set now, or?
It's like this. Like, there was a time where Joe Budden was like, I'm a better rapper than Method Man, and don't fuck with Wu-Tang and da-da-da-da-da. Crooked Eye is like the level-headed MC in the group. Like, he's one of them that you'll never hear someone be like, he's the weakest link of Slaughterhouse.
Never.
You'll hear a lot of people be like, he's one of the best rappers, if not the best, on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So Crooked Eye knows my history. It's like, he may have had to go through that with Joe Budden from the whole Wu-Tang beef, but ultimately it's like, I love Wu-Tang. Everyone loves Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
So with Canibus, he's another one of those anomalies where it's like, even Joe Budden put on Twitter like a couple months ago, he's like, I just had to school this dude on how when Canibus came out in '98, he was the most feared MC in the game. And I sent that message from Joe Budden's page to Canibus, and Bis laughed like, then, thinking like then and now, like I'll still bring it.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. It's like, Crook respects Canibus as an MC, like knows that, pound for pound, he's as talented as anyone you can name.
Mm-hmm.
Canibus knows that Crooked Eye is of the same vein of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Like is just an admirer of music, loves his craft, like is not just in it to make a quick buck and get out of here. Like there's things about each person that the other can respect. They don't have any kind of like interaction together. Their glue is me.
Right.
And I love the fact that both of them could work. And no one in Slaughterhouse brought it up to Crooked Eye like, hey, you're featured on the Canibus album. Like, what's up with that? I was able to go in the studio with Crooked Eye and Eminem and have like a productive session. And, the name Canibus doesn't get brought up once. Mm-hmm. It's like people want to make music. They want to make good music. They want to make good music with good people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a beautiful thing. So I'm glad that the two of them don't have to sit down and have a meal together or talk shop, but it's like, if you guys can make music that people care about, then I feel like I've done my duty for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember seeing the pictures of you guys in the studio. Just one last quick follow-up question, because we haven't spoken with you since you did that session. What was it like being in there with Crook and Eminem? Because a lot of people would say, that's like the highest record sold hip hop artist of all time. So what was it like being in there with them?
me and Josiah. Shout out DVG Media. Saya shot, all the Glass City videos and came on that tour with us, me and Crooked Eye. And just, their creative process it was definitely an unreal experience. I could imagine, I've never met or been in the studio with Dr. Dre, but I can only imagine it would semi-mirror that. There was, M was actually producing. He wasn't rapping. He was, laying down tracks, and he had live studio musicians in there with him. And basically, so he'd lay down, kind of the skeleton to a beat, and you have this guy putting the guitar riff on, and you have this person on the keyboards, laying shit down. And Crook wrote, I think M produced 3 tracks, and Crook picked one. Didn't know what it was going to be for at the time, but ultimately, when Eminem announced, I have this 15th anniversary record coming out, and it's going to be like a greatest hits of Shady Records, and kind of like my new album featuring everyone from the camp. We assumed that it was Crooked Eye would appear on that album, or eventually it would become like a Slaughterhouse song with Eminem. So I think that's what it turned into. I think it turned into a Slaughterhouse song with Eminem on it for that project. Nice. But you could just tell, like, M, real humble, like literally just cares about what he's doing in rap and like nothing else. We were watching videos on MTV, and it was like, okay, this is a good song by Drake, or this is cool, like, but has no real effect on whatever he's trying to do. He walks up to us and introduces himself as Marshall, which, of course, like inside I'm just cracking up about, but like, hey, nice to meet you, man. I'm Matey. Yeah. And turns out his assistant actually is good friends with Jizza, so we had a lot to talk about.
Nice.
From the Wu-Tang side. And no, it was a really cool experience, and it was like the greatest thing ever for Josiah. Like the night before, Dave Chappelle came to our show in Ohio, and I've known Dave for a few years, so he got on stage while I was performing and kicked it all night with everyone. And then the next day, we're in the studio with Eminem, and so for Josiah, like, dude, I never want this tour to end.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gaz, are you still with us?
I am, fams. I was just listening, very interesting. Peace and matey, thanks for coming on the show again, fam. Sounds like everything is going good. I've got a couple of cues I want to jump straight into, man. And yes, there's going to be another Canibus question. It's kind of generic, and you must hear this every day, man. But I've got to ask it: any chance of a UK tour at some point, and preferably
that's what I'm
past London?
If I could make that happen, if like anyone knows promoters, trust me, I will make it worth the promoter's time. I will guarantee promoter profits. Like, that's something we want to do. So it's not like, oh, well, damn, we really wanted to bring Canibus or this artist, but he asked for so much money. Like, no. If there's promoters that can really string, 5 dates, 7 dates, 10 dates together, whatever, I will make it worth their while. Like, we would want to do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like, I had offers this year. Hey, Biss, do you want to go play in, New Mexico? He's like, why would I want to go to New Mexico? Hey, man, do you want to go do this show in Virginia? He's like, where? I'm like, Virginia Beach. He's like, so the same place we played 10 times? I'm like, yeah. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, we want to go and do a tour in the United Kingdom. We want to, he knows. He's like, so you were just in Switzerland with like Wu-Tang Clan? Like, yeah, I want to do that. Like, okay. So yeah, man, if you have connections, people that throw shows in the United Kingdom, please get in touch with them and, email me or get a hold of me, whatever. Like, we will put it together.
Thanks, fam. That's awesome. And the other two, it's just, I just thought of this as you were talking. Would you ever be interested in doing, you and Canibus, or you yourself, like a documentary on underground hip hop where you'd look at the scenes, like how they've changed since you guys started, where they're at now, and then maybe your thoughts on the future?
I personally am with that all day.
Good question.
This is a little bit more withdrawn from just any and all that. But if it's presented the right way, sure.
Okay, how about this one then? Like a follow up, as opposed to that, just like M80, the A&R Extraordinaire documentary, just kind of going through, you know, your studio process and the artists you work with, everybody from, you know, whatever, Wu-Tang to the, you know, the newer guys you brought under your wing and RBC, all that stuff.
Of course. In fact, we've had a couple show opportunities. Like RBC was asked to do a pilot for, like, you know, kind of a show of that vein, like the life of like the record executives and the label. And in the pilot episode, we were supposed to have like Chino XL and Tash from the Alcoholics and Crazy Bone and E40, you know, just people in the office and showing their negotiations and things like that. Then when I lived in Indy, I was offered a show that was being shot by Steve Lefkowitz, Forward Motion Entertainment Studios, and it was just kind of like, yeah, like the day-to-day of M80. Steve, you know, we kept, our schedules weren't clicking on it, and then he ended up getting the job to shoot. It's a bounty hunter show. It's not Dog the Bounty Hunter. It's some other bounty hunter show that's on A&E, I think, and that's in like its third or fourth season now. So it's like I lost the opportunity to the bounty hunters. You know, but you know, it's good that I'm still working, because it's like, you know, the interest is still there.
Hell yeah.
Although I'm actually going to be on a VH1 show, but it's not music related. So when it actually airs, I'll probably let everyone know, and you guys will get a good laugh out of it.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Shout out to Chino XL though. He's like one of my favorite MCs, man. I feel like he's one of the most underrated guys. His double album was incredible.
Yep. We have the new Chino project. I'm hoping to get that out for a spring release. You know, we're at a standstill right now on tracks. Chino, you know, has a very specific kind of model he's looking for the new album. You know, it's a lot of live instrumentation. It's dark. It's strings. It's pianos. It's up tempo. It's, you know, things that really bring out the best in Chi. And if you've ever seen a Chino XL live show, like you understand, you know, it's like even if the sound sucked and you really couldn't understand a word he's saying, it's like the energy that he puts into it, the up tempo, the BPMs of the bass line and the beats, that just really brings it together. And he puts on one of the show, man. And I was totally impressed by his double disc, the Black Rosary, and that's why I wanted to bring him over to RBC and get that going.
Yeah, that's a nice call. I mean, the double time delivery, and just, man, he had Big Pun on there, like my favorite MC of all time, and just, man, like you said, just the dark instrumentals just complement his style and flow perfectly. So I don't think we've ever asked you this before. How did RBC come about? Because I know you're at what, 6 million or over that. Because of the Tech 9 records?
RBC's been in business, have sold probably between 6 and 7 million albums. RBC originally was Bob Grossi, Ben Grossi, and Brian Shafton. Now Bob, who as Ben's dad is now retired, he was the original like East Coast consultant, representative, buyer, seller for Interscope. And then Interscope, you know, expanded and brought all these other labels into kind of the Interscope fold, like Priority. And then Ben and Brian both worked for Priority. So, you know, these are dudes that have been around since, you know, the No Limit era, the Snoop Dogg era, the Dre era, when you had movie soundtracks and shit that were selling like phenomenally, like Rhyme or Reason and The Show and whatnot. So they're bringing that experience now to their own label that's just currently run by Brian and Ben. So, you know, you get a lot of artists that come through the door, and not everyone we're able to make a deal with. You know, these are guys that when they make label offers and artist deals, you know, they're speaking from experience. They know that there's nothing the artist can come in and tell them as far as like the business goes and spending. I mean, you can have an artist that comes and says, hey man, I put together my own marketing plan, and based off of my past sound scan, and so like they can do their own research and offer things that they think would help them as the artist. But, you know, as pound for pound, you got two strong executives that have seen it all and done it all, and that's why they're still in business 20 years later. It's because of this working model. Like they know, hey, you know, if you think your album's going to sell this, we'll gladly pay you out this. We're going to advance you this. We're going to put this into your marketing. We're going to, you know, do X, Y, and Z to help push the record. and no two albums are the same. And that's why, you see labels like Babygram that were really strong for a couple of years and then faded out. You see Nature Sounds that it's like, they put out an album, it seems like once a year, like when they feel like it. So that obviously, as far as a business, that's not keeping the lights on unless you release an album that seems like a million records, but they're not. So RBC is that one label in hip hop now that people look at like they are the strongest. There's certainly other labels that exist, and there may be other labels that are giving out more money to bring in projects or whatever it might be, but they don't have the history, they don't have the kind of mainstay power that RBC has for people like, E40 and Too Short to come and say, hey, I have my own label, but I want you to administer my label. Or Strange Music that has, an artist on the Forbes top 20 list 2 years in a row saying, hey, we want you to oversee our distribution, to administer X, Y, and Z for us. Like, they could probably do it on their own, but it's like when you have someone that's so good at what they do, why not, make two heads better than one and build your company from there?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as using that. So where does that stand as the business side? Was RBC founded independently? Is it still considered an indie? Whereas, most indies aren't hitting the kind of numbers that you guys are hitting at RBC, short of Strange Music, and they're kind of working with you guys anyway.
RBC is still independent. Depending on the record or the artist, it's like, obviously, let's say the Almighty Project is going to be different from E40.
Right.
E40 can come out the gate and make $250,000 in the first week. He's going to go with whatever distributor, Caroline or Fontana or Ingrooves, whatever is strongest that meets his needs as far as how can you get my product out to the masses. So we different distributors, like we have E1, we have Ingrooves, we have Caroline, things like that to meet the respective artist needs. Most labels just say, hey, we're the label and here's our distributor and it's X, Y, and Z. Like, we have so many more variables in our grand scheme. It's like, that's why we're able to really, give to the needs of the artist. And now RBC and Ingrooves have a joint venture together where it's kind of like we're giving more money to the artist. If they're an artist of the caliber to meet like certain standards like that, like, okay, we're going to kick in X amount of money. Ingrooves is going to match with X amount of money, and now we can, get a Crazy Bone or a Papoose or, a Joel Ortiz or whoever it may be, in order to best serve the interest of everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, because that, you kind of touched on it there. That's what I was going to say. It's kind of like RBC is a bit more adaptable, whereas you don't really see too many other conglomerates or syndicates there where you've got the Almighties and the Canibus, but you've also got E40 and, Tech 9 and Too Short on the same roster. It's just like, it's not very common, but it just seems like you guys are more open to just kind of working with whoever's going to deliver that quality product.
Yeah, of course, like, we want to make money on every record we do, but not every record has to be, the home run. Like, sometimes a record can be successful if it just, helps pay the bills for a couple months. And the artist is happy with it. Like, not every, sometimes an artist comes in with certain expectations and maybe they're either met or they're not, but it's like ultimately the consumer dictates the success. We could put $1 million into marketing something or whatever you want us to do. And if people aren't buying it, you can't go back and point fingers at the label or whatever. Like, that's the thing with, consumers now. It's like, how do we translate the music that's obviously someone's livelihood and they put months and sometimes years of their life into making into dollars and cents?
Absolutely.
So I've got a couple of questions kind of relating to this, M80. It seems then, and like you mentioned earlier, that music is even more business-like now. So a couple of points is, do you think people are ready now then to buy underground music again if it's delivered right and faithful to what they want? Because the demand seems to be there, certainly from what you're saying. So does this add, like, I know you guys have got to obviously make money for the label as well, but does this like add a level of responsibility for to you guys as well to deliver the culture in the right way. And
I
guess
think I'm one of the last like viable A&Rs in urban music that will bring a hip hop act to the label and be like, hey, we should put some resources behind this and push this. Whether it's a 90s golden era artist, or whether it's someone new with no tour history, no release history, no sound scan.
yeah,
That's the respectable thing about me. So it's funny how often I find this debate. People might be like, I don't fuck with M80 as an artist, or I don't really like him as a person. And then a lot of people's rebuttal is like, but you see what he does, like you see how he delivers. Like Canibus had this same conversation with another artist that was complaining to him about me. Like, but he didn't the artist didn't know that Canibus and I worked together. He was just like, man, that M80 guy, man, I tell you what, I don't fuck with him. And Biss is like, why not? It's like, I don't like him. He seems shady. He just seems real underhanded, like real self-interested. And Biss is like, he's like one of the last people that pushes for us. Like, people aren't knocking down other A&R's doors and labels' doors. Like, how can I get that new Chino XL album? How can I get another Bone record? It's like, no, these are things that fans want, not to come off disrespectful. These are things that, as myself, as a hip hop lover, as yourselves, as viable hip hop lovers, you want to hear, but it's not like I have to have it. These people assign what's going to make the most money now. Who got the next hot dance? Who has the next viable slang that we could just throw out and have people buzzing? It's like, I mean, it's
catchphrase.
I like that. I like that about me as far as what I bring. And it's like, I'm very proud that I have other artists and people, whether you want to call them supporters or fans or anything else, that will, kind of back me on that. I feel like once I decided if I was not part of the equation, you would not see as many hip hop, quote unquote hip hop artists coming out in today's marketplace that really are getting the push that they deserve. And I think it's a great time for more artists that, can do it themselves, put their projects together, make money, set it up on iTunes and get their own money from streaming and, book their own shows. It's like, when I was coming up, I did all those things myself. I never, I think early on in my career, I talked with a manager. His name was Ryan Thompson. He was related to Jam Master Jay. He was in New York. So around the time I started like dibbling and dabbling with Wu-Tang and stuff like that. But we never really like did anything together. I ended up getting in trouble. I did some time. He was kind of moved on at that point. So it's like, all I knew was to do everything myself. I never had anyone to go to as like an advisor or mentor until I really clicked up with Wu-Tang, and they would, like RZA never sat me down and said, M80, get out your notepad and your pen and here are the lessons for the day. Like, I learned through observing. I learned, just through watching and listening, and that's what people have to do now.
Yeah, absolutely, because he did mentor a lot of people like that, like Silver Rings and some of those other guys from the Wu-Tang umbrella. So it is different kind of coming up in a circuit like that with all these brand names and being self-taught.
And what I like with that being said, VX, is now he's going into film. If he takes that into film as well, he's going to obviously help other people in that industry. So I think that's a good thing. Someone who's had that success, who's got those ethics, it's inspiring to others and it's helping others. I'm personally M80, ass kissing aside, the fact that you've got time to come on our show, you've been on several times, and give us updates on what you're doing and that, it's just awesome for us to hear. So that says it to me personally, as a fan.
You got it, man. You got it. Yeah. In fact, last night, stayed in, just had a chill night. I don't get to have many chill nights, but passed up going to a Snoop Dogg concert. We passed up going to a Wu-Tang Clan mixing session for the new album. We got another week before that gets turned in.
Yep.
Just chilled, dinner, watched a couple movies, but I'm really excited to see them wrap the new Wu-Tang Clan album and get that out to the fans. And of course they'll tour again for 2015 and all that. And shit, man, it's a good time to be a hip hop fan. And it's really cool that I've been able to work with more independent artists, like people you haven't heard of, this year and in this coming year, because that's part of the job too. It's not just, well, well, he works with Corrupt, and everyone knows Corrupt, so it's like, what that's what people question, like, when I work with artists that are already somebodies, in a sense, like, what do you really do? So when you ask me a question about like the Fait Accompli album, I can tell you I picked all the beats. I can tell you I did, all the legal. I can tell you I, set up the deal and set, shop like the deal points and arrange all that. I can tell you I assist in PR and oversee distribution, like that kind of breakdown on a per album basis, so people really understand. But with an independent artist that you haven't heard of, it's all that and so much more, because it's like, it's my job now to make sure you hear about these people that you may want to come back. If I tell you, hey, the Bilderberg album dropped November 11th, maybe you want to interview them. You see that, you see their progress, you like them, and that's a further element of what we're doing behind the scenes. So like I said, I got Bilderberg coming in November, John Dub in November. 2015, I got my guy Chucky Workclothes in Indianapolis that's just put out a phenomenal amount of work in Indy since I moved to LA the past year. I have a guy in Italy I've been working with for a few years named Sev Fresh, that we're finally getting to the point where it's like we'll have a product ready for 2015, and it's a great feeling, man. Like, hip hop is a art form and a sign of music that people just respect worldwide, regardless of any kind of language barrier. And going to these festivals in Switzerland and traveling, with like Mobb Deep or Wu-Tang or whoever I may be with at the time, and seeing, like the admiration of the fans on a worldly scale is really like that silver lining of, reaping the benefits of your job.
Yeah, it's been the fastest growing music in China as well for the last few years, so that's definite testament to that as well.
Yeah, Tokyo as well. They said it's been like the golden age over there for like, the past decade. I mean, with the whole, the whole anti-M80 sentiment, I mean, I think I know what the people think, but it's kind of a misconception that they have of you. And, whereas you've been on with us, we've talked about all this stuff many times, but I mean, going all the way back to like Wu-Tang meets the indie culture, it's like you've said, even though you A&R'd that project, your name wasn't on it, as M80 Presents due to branding reasons. So it's kind of like, oh shit, we're having a problem with the call.
Oh, not Skynet, how?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to a track break, and we'll be back with you folks.
Yes, sir. Yo, Planet X Radio. We are back. M80, having a fucking awesome discussion today about RBC Records, Wu-Tang, Almighty, M80 solo projects, and all that awesome shit. What I was saying before the call dropped was just about, like, we were talking about, the little bit of hating and bad feedback that comes in with all successful artists, and just kind of wanted to like give my thoughts on the misconception that some people have about M80. And what I was saying was going all the way back to when he A&R'd like Wu-Tang meets the indie culture, and some of those first couple projects that you worked on is like, due to branding reasons, you know what I mean? It didn't have an M80 Presents on that. So you kind of really didn't get the credit that you were due on some of those early projects that you did A&R and things of that nature. And it just, I mean, ultimately, you have the Canibus Presents on the second coming of the Almighty 2, and I'm saying a lot. Obviously, people can see your name more on your more recent releases and stuff like that. But I think what some people see is they just see like, you're around due to the business side, obviously the legal and the A&R, and then I think the misconception people has is they feel like because you're around those artists and that studio process that like you're using that for your own gain, and then just kind of getting these features or whatever as an artist, and they're whatever, I guess their argument is that like you haven't lyrically earned that credit. But what my criticism of that argument would be is like, obviously, if you wanted to go put, like you said earlier about Corrupt, if you wanted to be on every Corrupt album, every Canibus album, every Crooked Eye album, you're actually in a position where you could put yourself on that.
A good example of that is the Academy too. So you got me, Corrupt, and JP Beats that are literally sitting down and planning out each track, and I have the final say on who's going on what. So you got Jadakiss, you got Styles P, you got Method Man, Redman, you got Pete Rock, you got Boot Camp, Slaughterhouse, you name it. I mean, you pretty much have a potluck of some of the best talents in the world. And I'm on the album on a song featuring 2 other unknowns because I chose to do that. I could have been like, hey, this song's going to be M80 and Pete Rock. This song's going to be M80, Crooked Eye, and Chino XL. Like, it's at my liberty to do, to do such. I've purposely never put myself on a Canibus solo because that's not the vision. Like, that to me might be the one point that sticks out. Like, well, I like the whole album, but that song kind of threw me off a bit. Unless it came out to be like the most phenomenal song ever. Like, on the first Almighty album where Canibus wasn't a member of the group, a lot of people's favorite song is Handle the Heights. And we're like, that's one of my favorite, like, M80 related songs. Like, you get on there just kind of came off. So if you're not an M80 fan as far as, the art goes, listen to that track. And then, like, I have plenty of material. You go back and find what you like, find what you don't like. I mean, that's the beauty of our modern day. You put together a mix of the songs you like if you want. And, can't please them all. When, I choose to stop rapping completely, then, people won't really have that criticism. They can be like, well, shit, he just A&R's records now full time and he, does his executive thing. But I'm still able to go on tour runs that I book, that I manage, that I handle legal, that I perform on. It's like, I'm making money as a performer, and it's like, I don't have, $10 million in the bank. Like, I do what I do to sustain. So I'm not going to cut off one of my legs as far as revenue goes to appease some people that are like, oh, I wish he didn't rap anymore. It's like, when people say that and they're other artists, it's like, I think it's only credible if we butt heads, as like equals. Like, saying you necessarily had to break the Guinness World Record for freestyle too, but it's like, you shouldn't be coming at me as one guy that released one mixtape or one guy that put one album out.
That was my point.
100 copies, like, locally, in your region. Like, I'll take criticism more, with more than a grain of salt if it's coming from like I get a lot of criticism from time to time from Planet Asia. A lot of it's like play, but there's serious undertones to everything, and it's like, I'll take his criticism and use it to better myself. And that's what you're supposed to do with, like, good criticism,
right?
And just the ones that are like, okay, well, he's just trying to put this person down, so fuck that guy. So yeah, you can take it however you want. Like, a smart person will take the criticism and build from it,
right?
And I feel like that's like I've done. It's not like I came in the game as like, the most mind-blowing artist of all time, but I've sustained. I've made it through, various amounts of fads and trends that I never had to compromise my artistic integrity or style for, and made music that I want to make. And that's what I want out of music. I'm not in it to, A&R my own record to become like, the next Bobby Shmurda or something. Like, I just want to continue to make M80 music and carry on the torch for the Wu-Tang brand and everything that I'm supposed to be doing as, a disciple of that era of music.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and again, it's kind of like the misconception is like you're using that that A&R and that legal side to get yourself in there on those records. But I mean, you've even said before on the show that you approach the creative artistic side. It's almost like there's 3 M80s. There's a business M80, an A&R M80, and then there's a creative M80, the artist. And I know for a fact, because I've worked with you, when you go in on those tracks, you are approaching that just as you would, basically as any other creative artist would, as you would approach your solo record or any other project that you do. So it's not really fair to say that. And also, I feel there's a degree of jealousy there that's just like, you know, because you're in the position that you're in, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you know, as you said, the local artists that kind of wish they were where you are. It's like, oh, why is that guy in there? You know, somebody else could be there. That should be me. It's more like, well, you're in there because you've been behind the scenes all along and you've put in hard work. So it's like, you're not just, as we've said many times on the show, you're not a random guy that just popped up in the studio one day hanging around Wu-Tang and, you know, randomly got thrown on a verse. So
I think one of my like that I'll call it a career highlight, and at the same time was a very strong like method I used to teach, was when I did the Glass City project. Now this came out in 2012. For those of you who aren't familiar, now this is, you know, prior to 2012, I've toured with Wu-Tang. I've done songs with you name it, as far as members of Wu and everyone else, and Solidified, and I'd already, you know, done the Guinness World Record and all that stuff. The Glass City project was like a passion project, and it's, you know, in a lot of eyes, say you have a movie star and he's, you know, like in the show Entourage, you got Vince and he's the biggest deal, and then he goes back to do like Queens Boulevard. So it's not for the money, it's not really building onto his notoriety. In fact, if it tanked, it could only hurt him. Made the Glass City album, which was me and another artist from Toledo, all Toledo producers, all Toledo features, and then it's up to me to really run it as a business. So I handle all the PR, like, you know, we got Funkmaster Flex, we got Hip Hop DX, we got Vlad TV. I set up the tour, booked the whole tour, managed it, and of course we're performing. You know, handled the billboards, and I mean we had billboards throughout the city of Toledo and all that stuff. Did all the merchandising, so on and so forth, and paid for everything else associated with it. Studio time, you know, if producers or features wanted a little something, took care of them, and really showed Nino Gray, someone that's only approaching music from, hey man, I'm going to record my songs and, you know, put out these free mixtapes or sell something on my Bandcamp. Really the hustle and bustle of it all. You know, I can say, hey man, I just spent $1,500 on 1,000 units, spent $1,000 on mixing and mastering. I spent $2,000 on, you know, 500 t-shirts and 2,000 posters and X amount of stickers and all this. Now we're going to go on the road. We're going to do the, you know, 20 shows. We're going to sell our record and let's see what money comes back. So if I'm into this project for 10 grand, now if I make 10 grand back, okay, great. I had another viable release. It you know, it put my name out there. It helped build onto the brand. But just making your money back isn't, you know, paying bills at home, doing everything else. So
just breaking
I put 100%
even
of my resources into the project. I make my money back, I make profit, and I made sure he's getting paid on a daily basis for the shows, for, you know, dividends of profits that are coming after the recoupment of every, you know, dime that I put into it. And it's like, dude, this is so much more than just making music. And it's like, when people really understand that, that's when you get them in the headspace where they can look at me and be like, you know what, I respect that guy.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and even on top of that, as you've said, you know, you've worked with the top tier premier artists via RBC, and even before that with Wu-Tang, Almighty, Corrupt, Crooked Eye, etc. But at the same time, I've seen your A&R highlights that you post on your YouTube channel, and you know, you again, like you said, you've got a lot of indie. I mean, you got some people that have worked with like a lot of known names that have grinded hard in the underground, but you also got a lot of stuff that you're pretty much shining that light on for maybe the first time, or that haven't had as much shine. I mean, you're really going out of your way to do that. You know, you've got like Epidemic and a bunch of other people on there, and obviously they get the big collabs, the Tragedies, and the names everybody know. But as far as those artists that like you're shining the light on, I mean, you're kind of going a bit out of your way to do that, because, you know, as we've said many times before, you're a busy guy. You could just take up your whole schedule and focus on Wu-Tang, Canibus, Crooked Eye, these people that you're working with, but you're actually going out of your way.
The most recent example, Anno Domini. You know, he has AnnoDomination.com. You have like every up-and-coming artist, like in the past, let's say 5-10 years, has at one point probably rapped over one of his tracks, you know? He basically caters to artists of all budgets. Like, he's lived in the United Kingdom his whole life. He came to visit Los Angeles for like a couple weeks. I took him out. I took him to some shows, you know, introduced him to label executive things like that nature. Next thing I know, I got people like Crooked Eye and and RBC and Canibus and Bronze, and myself, signing waivers of for him to apply for a work visa, and a couple weeks later, now he's here living in America.
Hell yeah!
So it's like, this is just an example of like an additional step. Like, hey man, you want to be here? You want to work from here instead of the United Kingdom now, and network and build your brand? What can I do to help you realize that? We're gonna help.
Absolutely. And I mean, Anno, as you've said, I mean, he's been working with the big names all along. But I mean, again, you've kind of gone out of your way with your little A&R highlights there. Not little by any means, but with your A&R highlights there, on your YouTube, and you shine these lights on, 4 or 5 different artists of these projects that you're kind of working on, and you came out of your way to give me a verse. You know what I mean? And we'd only really worked just interviewing you, and I mean, I knew you through Canibus, and I've been working with Hellraiser a lot, and you know what I'm saying, so we kind of had like the Wu-Tang connection there. But I mean, you gave me a verse pretty much, you went out of your way to do that, and you didn't even charge me, and I know at that time you were getting paid for several verses, so you could have easily just as told me, dude, I need the payment, I'm selling these verses, but you didn't. So
I got a grand this week to put a verse on a Christmas album.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
classic M80.
Like I don't think I've ever done a song on another rapper's album. No, I take that back, and I did one this year. Like in 2013, I went to Indy, did a song, and shot a video for another artist in Indy, and of course, was paid for it. And because of that, like at one point in time, every artist from Indy has asked, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, this is what I'll charge you, and this is what I would normally charge. Like, oh, you're not just gonna do it to do it. And it's like, when I got my start, not my start, but my third album, the first time I started working with Wu-Tang, where Priest is on it, and Dreddy's on it, and Brian Fest was on it, and Fest lived in Indy. He blew up when he was living in Indianapolis, and we'd hang out like on a weekly basis. He's the one that introduced me to Kanye West and all these other people. And he told me, he's like, dude, you've asked me a dozen times, I'll do the song, like we can get together, but there's a fee attached to it. I said, of course there's a fee attached to it. Like I wouldn't expect anything less. And it's just like, I'm coming to you and I want work from you.
Exactly.
So at that time, I could justify spending $400 and then putting my album out or putting the single out and watching it sell and getting my statements from CD Baby and, iTunes and all that. And seeing, okay, I spent $400, but that song sold 700 downloads, and then my album sold 4,000 units. So it's like, great, every expense had a justification. Now artists don't really have that luxury, because it's not like, okay, I just dropped $2,000 to get this guy on a song, and I put it out and I made back $18. Like, that happened.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Period from like 2004 to like 2007, 2008, when I was really, like hitting out like the Bronze albums and the Wiseman albums and Wu-Tang Indie Culture. That was like the last of that era where you could justify certain expenses like that. Like you could spend $70,000 and be like, okay, well, my target is to make back 120, and do that. And make sure everyone was happy. Like, okay, you want $500, you want $1,000, here's, whatever it took. It's like, we made Wu-Tang Indie Culture, with no advance money. The advance came when the album was like literally 90% done. After it had funded him. And that advance money upon signing brought everyone back to the recoup and put us in profit, before it sold album number 1.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, and had I required a budget to get the verse, you know what I mean, for my new solo, I mean, I could have definitely managed it, but I mean, the approach I'm taking to this solo is I'm kind of going back to my roots with, I'm not really doing every, I have a pretty high quality microphone that's better than a lot of these so-called studio mics as it is. So I'm kind of going back to that, grimy underground sound that a lot of the underground records have on this solo that I'm doing. So I really only am doing like the singles at the studio. I did like the Rasulallah from Lost Children of Babylon joint in the studio. I'm going to do the Cosmic Crusader joint in the studio. And I'm going to do the Hellraiser joint in the studio, because obviously, I'm sure having the Hellraiser GGO cosign helped me, link up with you, because it's a lot better than going, hey, M80. I'm VX. I'm nobody from the East Coast, and I would like to get a verse from you.
We brought Lost Children of Babylon in their company. I think it's called Heavy Mental.
Nice.
To do a venture with RBC. So
Nice.
I think the free project they have from 2015 to 2017 will be coming out with us.
Yeah, hell yeah. I've actually been talking to Cosmic a little bit. You might be seeing a couple of us GGO dudes on there. I talk to Rasul a lot, so I work with both them joints, both them dudes, Cosmic Crusader and Rasul. And yeah, man, absolutely. It's just like, you know, I'm kind of taking an approach on this solo record. I just kind of wanted to get this one out a little bit faster than, you know, my last couple, because it just going to the studio for every track. I mean, you know, if I'm recording it there, having my engineer mix it, and he's mixing the beat and master it, you know, I mean, obviously, as you know, it takes a lot longer than just, you know what I mean, doing some of the stuff, you know, here on my mic. So actually for our joint, it actually has a Lone Ninja on it from Twin Perils from New York. And so what I did is I recorded my vocals here. But since both you, I'm not sure if Lone went to the studio, but I know you obviously did. So I sent everything to my engineer, had him mix it and master it. And you know, my engineer works with like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith and all that stuff. So I mean, you can't even, as long as I have him mix and master it, it's really hard to tell the difference of whether I went there to do my vocals or whether I did them here. I mean, the only difference.
I haven't heard the final mix of the joint I'm on yet, but I recorded mine at Corrupt House.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you'll be, I think he told me he'd have it done very soon. I think I'm going to have it tomorrow night. And the first thing I'm going to do after I check it out is send it to you and Lone so you guys can check it out. And then we're going to do a couple more things there. But yeah, I mean, basically the only difference for me of like going to my studio is like, obviously he has the airtight vocal booth there, which, you know, I like to use whenever I can. But again, it's got a whole budget situation attached to it. So, but it's,
there you go.
I'm not mad at it though. It's definitely, I love the way it comes out. I mean, I've been going there for years, so it's like, it's great. But I think you guys will enjoy what we got going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually going to play right into your Speak of the Angel concept too, once you hear, because it had that whole biblical Nephilim intro on the beat, and then I put another like kind of outro on the track that kind of matches that whole concept. So I think it's going to lead right into your album. It wasn't even planned.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that.
It's synergy.
If there's, you know, anything else you guys got or any online questions or whatnot, yeah, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaz, do you have anything?
Actually, for once, no, you pretty much touched on a lot of the points I was going to say. Really? So no, I'm out of words for once, believe it or not.
We're gonna let him off the hook.
Yeah, you can escape.
Job leading into 2015 is to help us put together the Canibus United Kingdom tour.
Yeah, dude.
I would absolutely be privileged.
You get all the email contacts, and we'll put it together, and I'll email them as a group, and be very transparent. Let people know, hey, you tell us what we can do, and we'll make it happen.
Dude, I'm opening up for that shit.
Definitely.
Yeah, there you go.
What's the contact? Just real quick, guys. What's the contact for that M80? That's just the almighty m80@gmail.com. If people want to set up shows with this.
Email almighty m80@gmail.com. All the cannabis inquiries get forwarded to me from his social pages and whatnot. Holy Toledo Productions 419@gmail.com. The Twitter and Instagram is almighty m80. So, you know, if people need work from Canibus or from any other artists I work with, you know, just hit me up. I respond to the messages. You know, I usually prefer when it's just clear cut and to the point, but sometimes I have to, you know, talk to people for a couple weeks at a time just to get them comfortable to, you know, move on their own business. But yeah, man, you know, I'm accessible.
Yeah, and real quick, do you guys have any leftovers from the initial merchandise for the Fait Accompli, the Canibus hoodies and the t-shirts and stuff like that?
There's 3 hoodies and 3 t-shirts left. That's it. Like
where's
the orders? It was like, okay, cool. We have 100 orders. Let's fill it. Yeah. I think we had there's a couple people that said they didn't get theirs, so we had to, like, you know, re-up. But yeah, there's, like, if you check on the Almighty Canibus Facebook page, I think the last post in the body of it has like what's left as far as size and color.
Cool. What if somebody wants to put in an order? Is it just the Holy Toledo email, or is it?
No, it's the PayPal instructions on there too.
Okay.
And whatever the last pieces were, I think we discounted them significantly. So nice.
That's what I'm talking about. Just in case anybody didn't get their chance to get any merch.
If you are listening and order today, there
Yeah.
might be time I could take your money and put it on a football game.
He might still be able to double up on that by tonight. So let's get
all the bets are in.
Get those orders in.
Well, here's an opportunity, man. They're trying to get a UK franchise going in the NFL at the moment to play from Wembley.
I heard.
So do some
I don't
openers.
know.
It's got to happen, man. Yeah, it's got to happen, VX. The demand is here, man. All the Wembley games are sold out. Seriously, dude.
Sorry to switch. Yeah, I mean, I hope that happens. Honestly, like that'd be great. Like I heard that when they just had the game there a few weeks ago, like the Twitter commentary was kind of like, so this is like American football, right?
Yeah.
Like standoffish to it, but I mean, if it expands the brand awareness, then it's all good.
The problem is,
go ahead.
Sorry, man, I couldn't. The problem is, M80, like you get in the US sometimes regarding soccer, when you get a sport that the public get behind and everybody, NFL is huge here, but then you get traditional aspects of the media can get a bit hostile to it, like, no, we're just soccer here and we don't want this, and then you can get it stateside sometimes, with soccer growing there against like NBA, NFL, etc. But for me, man, I'm all for it. The more sports, the better. I mean, hell, I like them all, man. So it's got to happen, definitely. I hope so.
Good. VX, to what you were saying on the Fait Accompli merch, yeah, once we get rid of these last few pieces, that's just kind of what I was waiting on. But we're planning on relaunching a cannabis site, like a commerce site. I got the new era hats ready to go. We've been sitting on them for months now, just like the design and all that, ready to release that, and then new merchandise. So fans, if you're listening, grab up the last few pieces and then let me finish the website and get that all going.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's why I mentioned it, because I figured you guys, I saw the post that there was a couple pieces left, so I just figured anyone who didn't get a chance to get the original press would, have their chance to try to grab something while they still can.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So,
Def.
pretty. Gaz, I don't know about the NFL and the UK thing, man. I mean, you guys are red coats, we're Yankees. It might not work out.
Yeah, that's just why all the games keep selling out and everyone watches it, man. Yeah.
Right.
You're probably surprised I didn't say that sooner. But yeah, man, freaking get at M80, Almighty M80 on Twitter. I think is your Instagram the same. Email this guy, get him some business.
Yeah.
He's got bets to make. Let him handle that.
Yeah.
2 for 3. 2 more games to go.
Thanks for coming on again, man. It's been awesome, and we'll speak to you soon, dude. And just keep us updated, man. We're here as always. We'll help you.
Yeah, guys. I appreciate it, man. Doing what you're doing.
Not only that, look out for Tablet of Destiny LP coming soon, featuring M80, Hellraiser, Lost Children of Babylon. Shit's gonna be fire.
Do that. Definitely.
Yes, sir. All right, sir.
All right, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
All right. Peace out, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your
man.
time.
You got it.
Peace.
Peace.